Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another reaction and review. And this is to the 23rd episode of MLP, which is Sounds of Silence. Now this one, I have no idea what happens in this episode. All I know is I've been seeing images of what looks like new ponies called Karen ponies going around. And there's one, according to the wiki, called Autumn Blaze. And she's like one that speaks, I think. And she just looks adorable. So I'm really curious to hear her talk. So let's go ahead and begin, because I'm really curious, because she, from the art, from the screens, she looks adorable. And I'm very curious about that. So let's begin, because I want to see her and hear her. Starting the video in 3, 2, 1, click.
I can't believe you two are going on a friendship quest. This is amazing.
Applejack and Fluttershy.
Twilight? We've been on one together before.
Exactly. This is the first time the map has teamed up the same ponies for a second quest. That is special.
Must be because we're extra good at solving friendship problems.
Don't jinx it, Applejack.
Because it looks like this one might be a little tricky. You're going to the Peaks of Peril.
Peaks of Peril?
Peaks of Peril?
Ah, it's just a name. It doesn't mean anything.
Like how Cloudsdale is in the clouds and the Crystal Empire is made of crystal?
Fair point. So, what can he tell us about the place, Twilight?
Only what Rockhoof told me. Back in his day, no pony knew much about the Peaks of Peril, except for the legend on this ancient shield. It says a group called the Kirin used to live there, known for their kindness and truth-speaking.
Now we know why the map called us.
Unfortunately, other creatures also live there. The Neric, fearsome beasts of pure fire. Oh, maybe you should go instead of me, Twilight.
I am already intrigued.
Sorry, Fluttershy. Flanks don't lie.
I'm sure the two of us will get that friendship problem solved no matter what kind of creature has it.
Yep. Yeah, I can see where this is going. Okay, first off, I'm really curious about the Kirin here, and the Neric as well. But Applejack already has made a few mistakes. Number one, you never be that proud or that smirky about what you're doing. You will jinx it. She's already jinxed it. It's gonna go bad. So you just back up all the way?
Guess no pony else is going out as far as we are.
Maybe they know something.
That was a great scene.
Now, Fluttershy, I've told you a dozen times, there's nothing to be scared.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad Applejack doesn't have like a 44 on her hip. She would have shot that guy.
Oh, it's just that I'm not used to seeing any pony taking the train to the end of the line. The final destination. The last stop.
We get the picture. Why?
Nothing but uncharted terrain and wild beasts out that way.
I like him. He's creepy, but that's probably why I like him. I like him.
Well, maybe there's a little something to be scared of.
Already, I really like this episode. The setup. I just wonder how long that guy's been there by himself. It's probably no wonder why he acts so creepy.
Those must be the Peaks of Peril. Whew. Tough going, huh, Fluttershy? Fluttershy? Oh.
Really? Really?
There. That should be enough flowers to keep your tree cozy.
Fluttershy? What are you doing? This is no time for visiting varmints. We're on a friendship quest, remember?
Yes, but actually...
Come on! We're
What I found out is that...
Now we gotta get up that peak. I figure if we use some rope and elbow grease, we can make it up half.
Applejack! Can you please listen to me? What I'm trying to say is, the squirrels
Shut
told
the
me a
F
shortcut they take to the Kieran village.
I love this episode already. It's an interesting dynamic between Fluttershy and Applejack.
Oh. Sorry, Fluttershy. I suppose I got a little too caught up in the adventure.
Yeah.
That's all right. If you hadn't come back to get me, I probably would have talked to the squirrels all day.
Wow. They just found the Legend of Zelda.
It's not in here.
Nope, it's the Kieran.
Show yourself!
Wow. They look cute.
Well, hi. I'm Applejack, and this here's Fluttershy.
They don't talk. She looks like a distant
If you have
cousin
any
of
friendship
Celestia.
problems, we're here to help.
That's adorable.
Quiet bunch, ain't they? We're from Equestria, and we're plumb tickled to meet y'all. So, what are your names? Applejack, Fluttershy. Remember?
Maybe they don't understand us.
Do you understand Ponish?
I'm waiting for him to say yes. Okay.
Oh, but you don't speak?
Oh, okay.
Don't or won't?
Will you excuse us for a moment? You have to ask yes or no questions, or they won't answer.
Okay.
Like talking to Angel Bunny?
Not exactly. I can always tell what Angel is feeling, but these Kieran don't show anything.
Well, how are we gonna solve a friendship problem?
Like
None
politicians!
of them will tell us what it is.
Well, to be honest, they've lived with this lifestyle for so
Kieran are
long.
quieter than an apple blossom on snowfall. Still, there's gotta be some way to make them speak.
They're used to this lifestyle. It's something that they're used to.
Beautiful day, ain't it? Knock, knock. Now
Really?
you say, who's there? Police!
I love her. She's
Police
cute.
who? Police! Say something! Uh-oh! I feel a sneeze coming on! Achoo!
Gesundheit.
Ugh. Don't any of y'all talk?
One does.
Now we're getting somewhere.
A dark, spooky path that leads into unknown territory?
I'll tell you what, Sugar Cube.
Yeah, sure,
You
let's go.
stay
I'm game.
and see if you can get anything out of these here Kieran. I'll go try and find one that talks.
Phew. Be careful. And watch out for Nerix!
I love her eyes. It's a squirrel. Cute.
Yeah.
That's Autumn Blaze.
Have you seen a Kieran that talks?
That's her.
Any idea where I
think.
should look? Oh, for the love of Celestia! Can't you just say something?
Gotcha! Sorry, but that was too good. Oh, you don't know how much I miss jokes. Hilarity. Am I pronouncing that right?
I love
Something
her.
Said in a will? While. Hi, I'm Autumn Blaze. You've just arrived, and perhaps you're tired or hungry or reflective and want to sleep and eat and journal, which you should do, of course. But first, oh, what joy to talk with another creature. It's
I
been
love
so long.
her.
You must tell me everything about you. There's so much to say, so much to do. Oh, look at me. I'm going on, and you haven't seen.
I love her voice.
Have you seen what am I saying? Of course.
And
you
I love
haven't.
her
So just,
attitude.
yeah, I will just follow me.
She's adorable.
That was something, all right.
She's so cute. I love her. Oh, wow.
Wow. This is amazing.
Oh, you think so too? The way the light shimmers off everything, like it all suddenly woke up the moment you saw it, and you realize maybe the water and the mountains and the forests and the rainbow and the stars in the sky are all looking back at you thinking the same thing, that we are a part of the everything. That maybe there's just one thing and we are all it.
I was gonna say it's pretty, but
She's one of my new favorite characters.
And this is just the first stop on a
If she's a
journey of
favorite
amazing
character.
things to see,
Who's
smell,
down?
go through.
She's a
Oh,
favorite
I
character.
haven't been able to share all of this with any pony in forever since they all took that vow of silence. So it's a lot
Oh,
for
so
me to,
that-
process that deal with.
whoa
I love
there.
her voice.
Vow
Again.
of silence?
I love her attitude.
That's why they asked me to leave.
I hope it's not a sore subject, but you mind explaining why y'all went quiet in the first place?
It's a long story.
It wasn't near like
You'd
doesn't.
rather not talk about it?
No.
I understand.
I'd rather sing.
She can sing! Dang, she's good.
We weren't always quiet. We told stories and funny jokes. Must stand up was a riot. But then one day a fight broke out and hurtful words were said. Flaring tempers were inflamed.
Whoa!
Destruction quickly spread. And flaming red from head to head, it even burnt our bread. Sorry, I forgot how much I love rhyming. Where was I? Oh, right! My happy village lay in ruins. Relationships got worse. Spoiler alert, we quickly learned that words could be a curse. No more talking, yelled our leader, the last thing said aloud. Into the stream of silence, we stepped as a crowd. The water cooled emotions, and peace was soon restored. But with no way to speak my thoughts, I got super bored. Seriously, there's only so long that Sudoku can keep you entertained. Rainbows won't light up the sky unless you let it rain. And shiny apples sometimes come with worms. No, you can't give up your laughter, 'cause you're scared of a little pain. It's a lesson that the Kirin never learned.
My freaking gosh, I love her!
I was stuck in silent prison with the voices in my head, till I tripped over my salvation in
Oh,
a
wow.
helpful flower bed. I found a cure to clear my pipes, and I became quite chatty. With years and years of stored up words, I drove my village batty. They didn't like my jokes and songs and daily dose of news. The plays I wrote, the speeches spoke,
Oh, wow.
variety reviews, or the story about the Kirin who hid below an opera stage and fell in love with this opera singer, and he wore a freaky half-mask thing, and he played the organ a lot and got all broody because the singer was in love with another dude, so we took her away on this underground gondola. I mean, who doesn't love music?
I freaking love her!
The village leader made it clear I had to make my choice. I could stay and live with them, or I could keep my voice. So I came
Made the right
here and
choice.
left the couch alone. They're hard to move. Just the view for company until you heard me groove. Take it away, boys. 'Cause rainbows won't light up the sky unless you let it rain. And candles just won't glow until they're burned. No, you can't give up your laughter 'cause you're scared of a little pain. It's a lesson that my village never learned. No matter how hard I schooled them, fear of hurt is still what ruled them. Sometimes you gotta let it
Oh my gosh, this is awesome!
Yeah, sometimes you gotta let it rain.
And I actually teared up. Whenever you hear a good voice, that's what it does to me.
Can't believe it. No pony should give up feeling their feelings just to keep from getting angry.
That's what I said. Well, you know, when I started talking again. I bet this here's
She's
the
one
problem
of my
that
favorite
Fluttershy and
characters
I
of all
came to
time,
help
she
y'all
is.
with. Really? Who's Fluttershy? Oh, did you name your shadow? Mine's called Silhouette Gloom of the Sundown Lands.
Right. Well, I'm
She's
thinking
awesome.
if we just go talk to the other Kirin, we can get him to welcome you back proper like. Maybe even convince him to take your cure.
Oh, yes, yes, of course. Oh, just one small thing. The antidote for my anecdote? It's gone.
There's no cure left?
I used the last of the false breath flowers to make it, and I haven't seen them bloom since.
Well, this wouldn't be a friendship quest if it was easy. I'm gonna start by getting your friends to welcome you back.
You know, between you and me, I'm not sure she's gonna convince them.
Nope.
But I hope she does.
She's so freaking awesome. I love her.
Guess what? I figured out the friendship problem. Me too. Go ahead.
They're gonna start arguing, aren't they?
Bet that's a problem the Kieran never have.
No.
They're gonna jinx it.
Anyhow,
They're
we
gonna start
gotta get them
arguing.
all talking again.
Why am I having
No, no,
flashbacks
no,
to like
no.
Sam and Dean
We can't
Winchester here? I
ever
don't know
let
why.
that happen.
I thought you said you figured out the friendship problem. Was something lost in translation?
The Kieran are usually peaceful and kind, but when they get mad, they turn into Nyrics, creatures made of fire and vengeance.
Okay.
That seemed less scary when it was in a song.
The last time they all argued, they got so angry, they accidentally destroyed their whole village. So the Kieran decided to make sure it would never happen again.
But that's no reason to stop talking.
Well, yes, it is. Fire is dangerous, especially in a forest like this. Well, think of all the animals it could hurt.
Not if they don't turn into fire-breathing Nyric in the first place.
And how can you be sure that
See,
won't
I
happen?
knew they were gonna start
There's
arguing.
gotta be a better way than giving up all your feelings.
Applejack, you're not listening!
Cause you're not talking any sense.
What are they doing? Maybe they got worried because we were arguing with each other.
They're gonna dip you in the river.
We were just having a normal civil disagreement.
They're gonna baptize you
Where are they taking us?
down the river. There's actually a song.
To the stream of silence. If we hit that water, we'll never be able to talk or feel anything ever again.
Oh, I thought that was just a regular river. Huh? Whoa.
It's all right. I think I know this one, and she's trying to help.
Well, yeah. Can't have them silence the only friend who'll speak to me.
Huh?
She talks?
You have
And she's
no
freaking boss.
idea. Fluttershy, meet Autumn Blaze.
Well, thank you for that, wall of fire. But I thought Nyrics were dangerous when they're angry. How did you know you could control your temper?
I didn't. I guess anger's like other feelings. It's not about having them, it's what you do with them.
And giving up happiness to keep away anger is no kind of life.
I never thought
I
of it
agree.
that way. I can't imagine not being able to talk to my animal friends.
Or anyone in
Flare,
general.
you used to love to laugh at everything. And Rainshine, you sung the most beautiful harmonies. Don't you miss it?
I know you're worried about fighting, but friends can disagree without causing a ruckus.
Every pony gets mad sometimes. Even Applejack and I argue.
What? When do we ever argue?
On the way here, and about the Kieran being silent, and right now!
We don't always see eye to eye, but we never let that get in the way of our friendship.
Amen!
And if you're really angry, then take some time away to be a Nyric where it won't hurt any pony.
I think they're trying to say something.
Okay, are you hungry? Oh no, some Kieran trapped in a well? Okay, baby.
Is that a reference to Lassie?
No, baby fish mouth? Something? Anything? Ah, just write it down. Oh, this is making me furious. Would you excuse me? I'll be right back. You were saying. Oh! You want the cure for the stream of silence!
Uh-oh.
That's wonderful! Isn't it?
Well, it would be, except there aren't any flowers left to make the cure.
Are you sure?
Oh, beyond sure. Believe me, I've had a lot of alone time lately. I searched the entire forest 73.5 times. Although I wonder if that second half could make a difference.
I wish she'd told us what kind of flowers she's looking for.
They're called foal's breath.
I'd never heard of that.
You know where it is?
Fluttershy? A little help.
Can you interpret it?
He says he knows where to find Fool's Breath.
Really?
Well, what are we waiting for? Lead the way!
Hey!
That's what Fool's Breath looks like?
Autumn Blaze never would have made it past the peaks to search here. I owe you an apology.
Why?
'Cause if your kindness hadn't made you stop to help the squirrels, we never would have found this here flower.
And if your honesty hadn't convinced the Kieran to talk, we wouldn't need to find it.
Guess it's a good thing the map sent both of us, huh?
You work together. Use the perks of each other's personality.
You found them? Where were they? Tell me everything and feel free to add complicated descriptions and comedic tangents. Oh, right. First things first.
Never saw Pony drink like that before. It's cute.
Autumn Blaze, you have given us a gift. The realization that anger is within us, but it is our choice how we let it out. We would very much like it if you came back to live with us. I can't say how much we've missed your beautiful voice.
'Cause rainbows won't light up the sky unless you let it rain, and candles just won't glow until they're burned. No, you can't give up your laughter 'cause you're scared of a little kid. It's a lesson that my village never learned. Oh yes, 'cause rainbows won't light up the sky unless you let it.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is so sweet. This is so sweet. Oh. Oh my gosh, I'm going to turn into honey. Oh, that was so sweet. That was so adorable. Oh, okay. All right. This was such a cute and sweet episode. Oh my gosh, I love this episode. This is definitely one of my favorite episodes of Season 8. Hooves down, this is one of my most favorite episodes of Season 8 right here. Okay, I just looked it up, and Autumn Blaze is voiced by Rachel Bloom, who actually, interestingly enough, according to the MLP Wiki, provided the vocals for Princess Peach in the 2013 Starbomb song Luigi's Ballad, featuring Danny Avedon and Aaron Hansen, Egoraptor. Yes. If she was the voice of Peach in that, so imagine, play back the clips of Autumn Blaze and use the audio from Peach from that. It's an interesting thing, okay? But yeah, I absolutely love Autumn Blaze. She's so cute. She's so sweet. I love her. But again, this episode was such a good episode, and it was really true with the story. Applejack and Fluttershy, two interesting characters being paired to help out with a friendship problem. And they were sent to another village that they had never been to before, a place that we've never seen before in the show, and where they encounter a new group of ponies, the Kieran. Now, the Kieran themselves are very interesting in terms of their design, and I'm kind of curious about the design for the Kieran. They got the horns, of course. They're magical. And I wonder, they look like part ponies, but I'm not really sure. It looks like they have almost what looks like scales on their back and some sort of scalar design on their head. I'm not sure if that's some sort of maybe armor. I don't know if that's like the actual like color of their fur or skin, or what that is. But it's cute. They have such a cute design. But again, it's interesting the initial setup that in the beginning, Applejack and Fluttershy end up bickering and they end up having an argument because Applejack is trying to hurry and get to the situation. She's wanting to get there as soon as possible. And in a way, I can understand. I mean, I can see both perspectives here, um, and it fits within both characters' nature. Personally, to me, Applejack is more about getting things done, and Fluttershy is more kind of take your time and analyze the situation. In a sense, I've been watching Supernatural quite a lot again lately, and so I kind of see some of Dean in Applejack and Sam in Fluttershy. Dean, Applejack, Dean, more willing to jump headfirst into a situation without very much thought process. Applejack, Fluttershy, like Sam, more willing to take a step back, analyze the situation. But it's an interesting gimmick here. It's an interesting dynamic and setup with these two characters. And I can understand, and I can say Applejack is right on the part about not wanting, about burning daylight, because they're in a strange area, an area where they've never been to before. And it's not a place where, especially where it's considered dangerous, it's definitely not a place where you want to be out at night. So, if you're in a strange area, you feel more safer, you feel more comfortable during the day than if it's nighttime. I mean, it's basically like the woods. You're more comfortable with being in the woods in the day than you are at night because you don't know what you're going to encounter or how far, if you're going to get lost or not. So I can understand and say Applejack is right here about trying to hurry. However, Fluttershy is also right because she was willing to help out these squirrels, and she was willing to help others in need along the way. And Applejack called them varmints and did not look at it from a perspective. And so putting yourself in that situation, imagine two people in that situation. One is Applejack, one is Fluttershy. And Fluttershy sees a couple of, they're trying to travel somewhere. They have to stop to get gas. Applejack gets back in the car or truck and starts to drive away. But she turns and notices Fluttershy is helping somebody over on the side who maybe has a flat tire. And Applejack kind of thinks they can handle it themselves. They're fine. Don't worry. Let's go. And Fluttershy wants to stay and help. And honestly, in this scenario, Fluttershy is being the Good Samaritan. She's doing what is natural to her, which is helping others. And I can relate to both here because there have been times I haven't found myself in exactly that same situation, but there have been a couple of times that I found myself in a situation that I could make the call, either Applejack or Fluttershy. One particular moment that I remember was I went to it was a lumber place. I had to pick something up, and as I get back out to my truck, and I start to get in, I notice the truck next. I noticed the pickup next to me. The guy has the hood up, and there was a part of me that was like Applejack, thinking, well, he's right outside this building. I'm sure somebody else has already, I'm sure he can get somebody else to help him. So I thought like Applejack on that, but then I had a second thought, and I decided to do what Fluttershy did. I sighed, closed my door, went over and asked the guy if there's anything I could do to help. And it turns out his battery terminal was loose, and it was extremely loose. The wires around it were frayed badly, and so you couldn't tighten it up with a screwdriver. I tried to see what I could do, but one of the other people from inside the shop actually came back out, and they were able to fix the frayed batter terminal just enough to get the truck started for the guy, so he could get he could get to like Advance Auto or Napa or AutoZone, pick up a brand new battery terminal. So even though I wasn't able to help, I'm still glad to this day that I did stop and offer to help out. So I do relate to both characters here. And I know a lot of us have been in both situations where we had a choice to be either Applejack or Fluttershy. Now, I'm not in any way saying Applejack is wrong here, because she does have a good point. You know, there's some places you don't want to be out at nighttime, and there are times whenever you have to try to make that sacrifice and, you know, be like, I'm sorry, I have to go. And so I would have to say both are right here. I more understand Fluttershy's perspective here in wanting to help out, but I also understand Applejack's wanting to hurry. So it's an interesting dynamic. And the funny thing is, here, it played on that scenario where that I have seen this gimmick before, where one character has information they're trying to tell the other. However, the other one is too stubborn and to actually listen to reason. And the funny thing is, this plays because here Applejack is the stubborn one. Here Fluttershy is the meek one, supposedly. But the funny thing about this is it was during this point that Fluttershy reached her limit. Now, before, in an earlier season, we probably wouldn't have seen this out of Fluttershy. She would have just kept saying, she would have just kept saying, and been silent. But no, the development that Fluttershy has had over the course of the past several seasons actually played out here. To that she put to basically here, Applejack would not listen, and Flutter Rage stepped up and looked at Flutter calm and said, "Hold my beer." And that's whenever Fluttershy belted out Applejack's name to get her to listen. And Fluttershy yelled at her, and you could tell right here, like, Applejack, she kind of had that stance like, oh crap, I done goofed, what did I do? I unleashed the Kraken in this girl. And it's very interesting because here, you know, Fluttershy's calm, she's meek. But here she reverted to the development that she's had, where she was able to stand up and say, effing listen to me for once, or I'm going to shove a cacti up your butt. And that was pretty much Fluttershy here. And I love the expression that she wore, too, during this point, whenever she's like, I found out some information, get your head out of your A, and listen to me for once, why don't you? I love that. It was cool. And again, Fluttershy, everything's cool between them. And again, this is an interesting dynamic between these two. But again, this village, and the story, again, with the Kieran, and I have to say, this village, I don't know why, but it made me think of Legend of Zelda. I don't know why. But this was a very interesting setup with the Kieran here, because the Kieran had reverted, they had decided to remain silent because of sparked anger. And it was an interesting thing. The Kieran, there had been some words that were said before. They had began to argue and bicker with each other. And this kind of is a good representation of anger. They were at once friendly and got along very well. But at just one point, the argument and the bickering began to take hold of them. And they began to argue, and it brought out something ugly within them. It brought out the Neric. And it was a beast form of them. And I don't mean a beast as in freaking awesome. Okay, they did actually have kind of a cool look here. But no, it brought out the anger in them. And this is actually a really good representation of what anger can do to you. It can be very ugly. You know, you can be calm, and that's what the Kieran was in the beginning, but then whenever anger takes hold of you, it can turn you into something ugly. And this episode was such a really good metaphor and representation to real life. This was such a good metaphor and representation of that, because the Kieran, they let that anger take hold of them, and they let it control them, and they let it burn out of control, to that they did some very bad things. That it caused them to burn down their village because of that anger. It sparked rage and fury, and because of that, they caused a massive fire that destroyed their village. And so that's a good representation about letting one's anger burn out of control. The danger of not being able to control your anger and what it can do to you. And it kind of fits because there are times some people, I mean, I'm not going to deny, I can have a temper at times. But thankfully, thank God, I'm not like this. I'm not flinging things across the room angry. And oftentimes, whenever you get angry, you will say things that you don't mean. Your anger will spark, and things that have been festering within you will come to the surface, and you'll say things that you don't mean. And it has happened to a lot of people a lot of times. Anger is a very dangerous and very ugly thing, but we all have anger inside of us. Some of us are better at controlling it than others. And I myself, I have been working with myself for such a long time I mean, it's a constant thing to make sure that you keep your anger in check. It's so easy to let it get out of control. It really takes a lot to make sure that your anger is on a level that you can control. And that's kind of what the Kieran learned. That's what Autumn Blaze and the rest of the Kieran learned in this episode later on, was that if you can control your anger and you can keep it on a calm level, you need to take a step back and try to remain calm and try to release that anger in a safe way that doesn't hurt anyone or anything. It's a really good representation of that. The anger can be a very dangerous and very bad thing. And the Kieran were afraid of what they could do with their anger. But they realized in this episode later on that they could control that anger if they would try to work with it. And that's very true. Now, like I said, some people, they have more worse tempers than others. I can have a temper. I can. But generally, whenever I get angry, thankfully, I'm mostly able to keep my anger at a level to that I am still slightly, I'm not going to say fully, but slightly in control. The most angry of times that I have found myself in, one particular moment that I recall was whenever my boss got upset at me for literally blowing my nose. I will have to make a video talking about that, but basically, he got upset at me for doing something that plenty of other people do. And then I catch him loafing, not doing anything, and I remind him of the exact same thing he told me. Because he made me angry. I literally was just blowing my nose. He makes me angry because of that. And so I was planning to get revenge on him. I was looking for a moment whenever I could, but I was presented with the opportunity, and like 10 minutes later, to get revenge on him. And I seized the opportunity. I went right up to him. I don't care if he was my boss. I didn't care what he did to me. I was not going to let him treat me like a doormat. Like, I was not going to be a whipped pup with my tail between my legs. I walked right up to him, told him exactly what he told me. To say that he turned into Medusa would be an understatement. He got mad at me. But I don't regret it, and I'd do it all over again if I had to. But again, some other people would have been too afraid to say anything beyond that it was their boss. Because they would have thought, well, they could fire me. I could lose my job. That was not of my concern. That was not a concern of mine. Because I did not want this guy to walk all over me. I did not want him to get onto me and make it, the way he looked at it, I wasn't doing my job. And so whenever I caught him not doing his job, I told him the same thing he told me. And I found out that night he was biased. He was the kind of person, he doesn't care to tell you what to do, but then he's totally fine with slacking off. And I wasn't about to handle that. I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Regardless of how long that he'd been doing that job for a heck of a lot longer than I had, I was not going to let him treat me that way. So my anger took over, and I walked right up to him, and I knew exactly what I was going to say to him. And I was still laughing. I was still angry, but I was still laughing even as I did it, and I don't regret it. And no, I didn't lose my job. I'm still employed. But again, the Kieran here, again, it was one of those situations where they learned to control their anger. And in the process, they silenced themselves. They all took a vow of silence because, now, in a way, I can respect the Kieran's decision here because they were afraid of their anger. They were afraid of what their anger could do. They were afraid that their anger could hurt others that they cared about and hurt their home. And so they were willing to take a vow of silence and silence themselves to keep from hurting those around them. In a way, I can't help but admire that. I mean, it might not have been a very good decision, but I also can't help but admire that. The lengths that they were willing to go to protect the ones that they cared about and their home. I can't truly say that. I mean, they made a bad call, yes, and there was another way to go about it, but I can't say that they were completely 100% wrong in what they did. I mean, there are times whenever you want to put tape over your mouth because you're afraid you're going to say something. And how many times we found ourselves in a situation to that something happened, a situation arose to that we opened our mouths. We were going to say something, but then we were able, at that split second, we were able to catch ourselves and keep ourselves from saying something. And we knew if we did, it was going to hurt someone or hurt ourselves. And we were able to keep our mouth shut and think, I can't do this. I should not do this. And we were able to control ourselves and hold ourselves back. We were mentally able to restrain ourselves from letting that anger go. Anger is like a beast in a cage, and we hold the key. Sometimes it escapes from that cage and we have no control, but sometimes we can control. We can control kind of how much of that beast gets out of that cage. And if it gets fully out of that cage, that's whenever it's the worst. But only we have the key. And the Kieran took a vow of silence to keep themselves from hurting others, and they made a big sacrifice. And they'd done it for so long, it became monotone for them. They all became monotone, and they just didn't really have any thoughts about it. They were willing to make that. They had begin to live like that and live like that for so long that it was affecting them. It was affecting their mentality, and now they were no longer capable of. I mean, they weren't capable of showing any emotion. They had done it for so long and made that choice that they just couldn't show any actual emotion. And so how they managed to live like that for so long, I have no idea. But I mean, I can understand Autumn Blaze's point. I mean, her life. Imagine being around people like that for so long. I mean, around some caring individuals, and then suddenly just it's all silent. Imagine being isolated like that, no one to talk to. I really felt for Autumn here because she was in a situation that I mean, even though her village had exiled her because she didn't fit in with that way of life, and she was annoying them. And so she was exiled, and she managed to make a home for herself, but it's interesting. And, like, the way I look at it personally, Autumn Blaze, and I'm just going to say it, I mean, that's just my personal view of it, she's an introvert. Here, she's an introvert because she has such an interesting way of looking at life, and I'm an introvert myself, and I know exactly what she's talking about. Whenever she begins to talk about the sky, the stars, just all being one, and it's so deep and meaningful. And it's not a normal thought process that anybody else would honestly really have. But I can understand it. I know exactly what she's talking about. And I remember seeing a comic once before, and it kind of fit. I remember seeing a comic, a thing about introvert, and it pretty much said that introverts have an interesting way of looking at life. And there was a image. I remember there was a comic of Snoopy, and he was sitting there looking at a tree. Lucy walks up and thinks Snoopy is silly for sitting there watching a tree, wondering what could you possibly see? Could possibly be entertaining about watching a tree? Lucy walks away, and a single leaf just falls from the tree. Snoopy looks at the audience and says, "I'm happy." I've seen images of things that it says basically you're an introvert if. Like, I saw an image, a comic of someone getting away from a crowd and going to a nice little secluded spot in the woods, and just lying back against a tree. And okay, Autumn is not 100% an introvert. Like, she loves conversing with others. She loves communication. But her time in isolation had made her an introvert. She's still an outrovert, but she's also an introvert. She can understand things in a way that others wouldn't really see. And whenever I look at her, whenever I see her, especially whenever I hear her talk there, during that moment, whenever she talks about feeling basically one with nature, about the beauty of it, and about the stars in the sky, that isolation made her feel a connection to the world, a connection that she hadn't experienced before. She felt that connection. She felt that the world, the sky, the stars, they were her companions. And it made her feel like it's really one of those things, like me. Like I said, I'm an introvert. There are times whenever I'm lucky enough, I'm blessed enough that I can be outside and look at the stars, and I can see just the beauty of the stars above, and just think how many billions of miles that each of those stars are away from us. And what must it look like up close? How far can you see? How vast is the universe? And it just makes you feel so tiny. Whenever I just feel so tiny whenever I look at it. And I relate to Autumn Blaze here. And she has such a deep, meaningful way of looking at the world. And like I said, I don't think she was an introvert in the beginning. She loved being around others and communicating with them, and she still loves it. She misses it deeply. But her time in isolation had a very interesting, and I have to say positive effect on her, as it's allowed her to be able to open her mind to the world. And now she's looking at it from a whole much broader perspective. She still loves communicating with others, and she values friendship and having a companion, having someone to talk to. But she also sees things from a much broader perspective. And I really relate to this girl. I mean, I really relate to her. But again, the Kieran made that choice to silence themselves for the sake of being afraid of what their anger could do, of those that they could hurt, of the danger of it. And it was an interesting dynamic here with both Applejack and Fluttershy both learning about the Kieran in their own way, learning what happened. And there was an interesting dynamic that the Kieran had stopped communicating for fear of what could happen between them. But it also began to happen as well with Fluttershy and Applejack. They too began to argue and bicker. But there's an interesting setup with this. The Kieran saw Applejack and Fluttershy fighting, and you could see the look of concern on their faces. And they thought the only way that they could stop them from fighting was to dip them into the river of life. Dip them into the river of silence. And because they were afraid. But Fluttershy and Applejack, even though they argued and bickered, and this is one of those really good representations about life, and Applejack basically said that later on, that they argue and bicker. Applejack said it later on, and it's completely true, and I think I've pretty much said the same thing before, but yes, as friends, you will have times whenever you argue and bicker. You cannot be in a friendship and not have a quarrel from time to time. It's a 100% guarantee. You can't have good without having some bad. A friendship is no different. It might be 98% good, but there is still a 2% that is going to be bad. Every friendship is going to have. A friendship is like a road. Sometimes you're going to have really beautiful straight patches. Sometimes you're going to have bad weather. You're going to encounter potholes. What matters is that you don't let bad weather or a bad road stop you from traveling down that path of friendship. Because as long as you both are willing to commit and keep the friendship together, keep each other in each other's life, you can overcome those potholes. You can get over those potholes. You can go through that storm. A really good friendship is not worth throwing away for something insignificant, for something stupid. A real friendship, real friends, want to work things out and stay together. That's what I wholeheartedly believe. And I've seen too many people let really good friendships fall apart for the most dumbest, for the most insignificant and trivial of reasons. And I think, why? Now, one could look at it and say, well, they weren't that good of friends to begin with. That might be true, yes. Or they were just lazy. Sometimes people don't look at friendship as give and take. It's, I'll take, you give. No, a friendship is a mutual agreement. It's a mutual commitment between two people. You both have to give, and you both take. I've said this before, friendship is like a garden. You cannot plant flowers in a garden and just expect it to grow into a beautiful thing. You have to tend to it yourself. You have to help it to grow. A friendship is exactly the same. And that's what Fluttershy and Applejack here, they have. And they are like a representation as. They might argue, they might bicker, but the key is they know how valuable that their friendship is, and how much they value that, and how much they value each other. And they're not willing to let that go. They don't want to let it go. And so they know, put anger aside, push past that, and focus on the positive, focus on the good. Don't let something as minor as a little argument drive a wedge between two people that have a great bond between them. They understand that. And that's what the Kirin learned through an example. They realized that they can still be happy. They can still talk. All they have to do is control their anger. It's understandable that they're going to have arguments from time to time, but the key is controlling that anger and remembering their friendships, remembering how much they care for each other, and not letting something so trivial as a little minor argument or disagreement stand in the way of a good friendship. And the Kirin learned that. And Applejack and Fluttershy both realized that they were able to work off of each other. Both had a personality quirk that helped them both in this situation, which is why the map sent them. Additionally, the Kirin was able. I have to do it. Lord, please forgive me for this. They come to the well. Lord, please forgive me for the. Okay, it's a gospel hymn. Okay, come to the well. I put up the lyrics. I don't know how many times to that song in church right now, but I'm sorry, I can't help it. Lord, please forgive me if I shouldn't say this or think this. But again, like they come to the well
when nothing can satisfy and the world leaves you high and dry. Just come to the well, and all who thirst will thirst no more, and all who search will find what their souls long for. The world will try, but it can never fail. So leave it all behind and come to the well.
to drink. Um, and they started talking again. And the Kieran was able to realize that we can still communicate, and that life is too short to try to be silent. They're missing out on good laughs, great memories, and just having fun. And they saw that they were able to reconnect again and begin to enjoy the life, and their village was able to flourish once more because they abandoned the vow of silence, and they were able to laugh and make merry again and start anew, make great memories together again. And they realized that friendship is important. They made a mistake before, but they have a chance to start again. And it was great to see that. And the ending, of course, with Fluttershy and Applejack giving a single hoof bump like, we did it. It was a great finish. It really was. But again, this was a really good story. It really was a great, solid story. And it's understandable. I mean, it is really relatable because there are times whenever you feel like maybe I should just hold my tongue. Maybe I shouldn't say anything at all because I'm afraid of what I'm going to say, of who I'm going to hurt. The Kieran was afraid of the dangers of of losing control of their anger, so they silenced themselves to keep from hurting others around them, to keep from further destroying their home. And it was affecting, I think, their emotions and their mentality overall. But one single Kieran did not want to live life in solitude. She did not want to resort to silence because she knew there was more to life. And she was able to help the rest of her village see that. And because of her determination and because of her perkiness and her upbeat love of life and love of people, she was able to help them to see, and also with, of course, with the help of Fluttershy and Applejack, the Kieran realized that you might bicker and argue, but it's not worth throwing a friendship away, and that you can't let that anger take control of you and ruin things, and that there's more to life than just trying to stay silent, and that they can still enjoy life. Applejack's line, giving up happiness to keep away anger, it's very true. And the Kieran they made a sacrifice to get rid of their anger. To get rid of happiness, to try to keep their anger at bay. They didn't realize that they could actually work to control their anger and still be happy. And they didn't realize how much that they had given up, the huge sacrifice that they had made, what it had affected, who and all that it affected. But they were able to realize that we can control our anger, and we just have to be calm about it and not let it flare up, because we have friends that we don't want to lose, and we're not willing to lose them because of stupid anger. And life is about being happy and joyful, and they realized that, and so they were able to reconnect and break that vow of silence, and they were able to start being happy and merry again. And so their village can now flourish once more. This is such a sweet and cute episode. My gosh, this is one of my most favorite episodes of Season 8 right now. Actually, this is definitely one of my most favorite episodes of the whole series, right here. It totally is. Story-wise, absolutely love this episode. It's completely true. But a couple of things to go over with this particular episode with additional scenes. I have to wonder why the freak did the train begin to back up all the way. I know some trains do back up, but it's mostly to just simply connect with other cars. Did the train really back up all the way from here back to the next station? Really? Yeah, it just seems a little weird. But this particular intro where it shows the wind blowing and it shows Applejack and Fluttershy caught in the wind. This particular scene, I don't know, it's just a really great scene for me because the wind is blowing. It's giving an atmospheric tension to the scene, and the camera is also doing a slow pan. It's not just a stationary camera. It's a slow panning camera as the scene transitions to show that. And it also shows Applejack turning to address Fluttershy as well while the wind is still howling around them. This is a good scene. This is a great scene. The combination of the atmospheric build here, the atmosphere, the tension in the air, the wind howling, the panning camera, it's great. It's a great combination. It's a really good scene. I love it. And again, it made me think. I couldn't help it, but whenever this old geezer shows up and Applejack and Fluttershy are looking, I mean, they're freaking frightened here. I just had the image in my mind, like it would be kind of like if Applejack had like a gun on her hip, and then this guy just suddenly comes out of nowhere. I could just imagine Applejack quickly drawing her gun and holding on this guy, or like freaking and putting a bullet, not shooting the guy. Actually, it would have been comical for that. But yes, because death is funny. My mind. But like puts a bullet right through his hat, and then he just looks at her, pulls his hat off, and sees the bullet hole right through it. And Applejack is like, sorry. That would have been comical. I wish the fandom still did comics of stuff like that after an episode premiered. I wish they still did something like that, because that would be a freaking awesome comic to see. But I gotta say, this old geezer, I love this guy. I mean, he's creepy. He's the creepy old man that warns you about the next door neighbor, and then he slowly backs into his house or his makeshift outhouse, whatever this is. His ticket booth / outhouse / living quarters. I love this guy. Like, this is kind of a typical horror movie trope kind of guy, but he's comical. I love him. I can't help but like him. And I have to say also, the scene with ball sack. The moment, of course, whenever Applejack puts her hoof in this guy's mouth, I was like, we get it, alright, shut up. I love that. Because it's not too often that you get to see a character like Applejack put into like a kind of a horror movie style scene setup where, and it's not too often that you get to see that. And Applejack, she's the blunt one, and she just like, all right, shut up, shut the freak up, I get it, okay? You're creepy, you're the creepy old guy, I get it. It's interesting to see that setup with Applejack being put in that situation, but it worked. It really worked. And this guy, like, this guy's in bat crap insane. Just this look, this smile. This guy is insane. Like, this guy is not on the borderline of insanity. No, this guy's plumb crazy. This guy went insane quite a while ago. And he keeps the same expression as he closes this ticket booth. Like, does this guy practice this often? Or is he just naturally this insane? I don't know. And again, the head tilts from the Kieran. Cute. Cute. They're like a kitten or like a puppy. Almost. Like you say something and how sometimes a kitten or a puppy will look at you and with a head tilt. It's just so cute. And the like the leader, like the queen of the Kierans, I guess, like she has a similar look to Princess Celestia. She does. I wonder if they're somehow related. I couldn't help it whenever Applejack was whenever she was trying to talk and she was like, "Do you understand?" I was thinking to myself, Applejack, they're not that foreign. Like, they're not like. I think I remember seeing a scene like that in a movie where somebody from America was trying to interact with somebody from a different country, and they're like, "Do you understand?" And then the person from the other country said something completely in English, and they're like, "Yeah, totally." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I don't remember what movie that was from or TV show, but I keep thinking I remember seeing a scene like that. But I was kind of waiting. It would have been hilarious if the queen of here had have looked at her and said, "You know, we completely understand every single word that you're saying, right?" It was like, for me personally, this was kind of embarrassing because I knew that these Kierans understood every word that Applejack was saying, but Applejack was they're foreign. They don't understand English. This was just comical, this scene. And Autumn Blaze, oh my gosh, I freaking love this girl. She is one of my most favorite characters in the whole series right now. She is. She's one of my most favorite characters. I adore this character. I love her upbeat, perky personality, her way of looking at life. Like she's just so calm and she's just so upbeat and happy. And she's not shy about it. She's not ashamed of it. I mean, yeah, I mean, she kind of, I mean, yeah, she can be angry. We saw later, but like she controls it. She's just so upbeat and perky. I love it. This girl is freaking awesome. And I have to say, this particular scene here, the moment that Applejack walks up with Autumn and looks out over this canyon at this sunset, I couldn't help it. I thought of Fallout Equestria here. I thought of Zion Valley. This made me think of that. Like, imagine here, Applejack is a cute scene with Kieran. Imagine, like, I mean, and it kind of fits. Like, here is this tribe, which is the Kieran, and here's Applejack. She's the courier, and she arrives in Zion Valley to see Zion Valley in its glory. She sees Zion Valley. She sees the rainbow after the nuclear war. And here's a character like Autumn making a life inside of the canyon. That's what came to mind whenever I saw this scene. And it's just so cute. And again, I love the design for them, but oh my gosh, Autumn, and her eyes are like amber as well, which really fit with her character. I love her. She is just so sweet, so cute. And the way that she sings, and oh gosh, this girl can sing too. I love her voice. I love her speaking voice. I love her regular speaking voice. I love her singing voice. It's just freaking awesome. And the cool thing, and also her number, her little musical ditty, is just, it's awesome because just the breaks in it. It's not a solid flowing musical piece that you would traditionally hear. Now this thing is more zany because she breaks out of the traditional traditional verses that you would expect from a traditional number to interact with who she's singing to with her own commentary. And it's so cool that she does that. And this scene looks like something from the Brady Bunch. And she makes that mention about Sudoku. Again, I love this girl. Like, she's so freaking, like, she's kind of zany, but I love her. She's just so perky and upbeat, and I love it. And again, her singing voice is just awesome. And this little scene here is just beautiful, where she discovers these flowers. It's just very cute and sweet. But again, she's definitely one of my most favorite characters. And again, I love how she interacts with the music, with her commentary. I love the moments whenever she interacts with, like, she stops during the tracks to do commentary. And this character, like here, I don't know why, but just with the blue shirt, I don't know if she's doing, I don't know, I'm thinking of Monte Cristo here, possibly, or the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. I don't know, like a combination of Belle and Beast, maybe? I don't know, it looks cool. And the art for this right here, that's good art. That is really good art. That is great. And this number that she does about Phantom of the Opera. I mean, this is Phantom of the Opera pony style. And she, like, breaks out of song to quickly narrate. She breaks out of the traditional verses to quickly narrate what is going on with this. I love this girl. Like, my gosh, she's freaking boss. She's so cool. And her song about, of course, and her musical number is also extremely true. I mean, the meaning of her song, basically, you can't have a rainbow without some rain. It's true. It's true. Through a storm, I mean, you might encounter a storm, but once it's over, there's going to be a rainbow. You can't, I mean, a rainbow isn't going to shine unless it rains. And this song is really true. It's a good representation of life and about like friendships, relationships, people, attitudes. It's great. I love that calm moment whenever the sock puppet just slowly rises into the shot. I love it. I love her reaction with the makeshift. Oh no, that's not a sock puppet. Okay, I thought it was. I thought it was a sock puppet, but it's actually just her hoof with a stick in between and eyes and a mouth drawn on it. Okay, I thought that was a sock puppet at first. I'm sorry, but again, it's cute. It's cute how that works. And again, I love her. She's just so upbeat. She's perky. She's funny. Yeah, she's my favorite character. And of course, she gets ready to turn back into Anirik. And she's like, "Would you excuse me for a moment? I need to go vent my rage before I rip your throat apart." And so she goes behind a rock, which is comical. She just goes out of view, and then you see a blast of flame go up, which is basically like somebody just going, that's basically it. And then she comes back around. She's like, "Okay, yeah, no what?" And then she just simply comes back around the rock. "Okay, calm, calm. Nobody died. I'm good. We're all good." I love this. She's so cool. I love her. And like I said, it's not often that we see something like this. Ponies drinking from water. Like, well, kind of like you would see, I guess. It makes me think of my kitten. Cute. And of course, the ending here just is a great representation. This particular ending shot is a great representation about what we see visually throughout the episode, about the story overall. Because here, there's a rainbow. And this is a really good ending representation because there was a cloud over this village. There was a dark cloud over this village, covering it. And nobody could see the sun. Nobody could see a rainbow. But with Autumn, Fluttershy, and Applejack, they were able to help the village, help the people there. The cloud broke away, and now a rainbow has spread across the village. This is a really good representation for that. The sunshine, the rainbow is now crystal clear. And this is a great little moment. I absolutely love this episode. It's such a sweet episode. It's a cute episode. This is one of my most favorite episodes of this season, and one of my most favorite episodes of the show in general, of all 8 seasons. So, yeah, this was a very cute, very sweet, highly adorable episode. And I love it. But, again, that's my thoughts with the episode, and hope you guys enjoyed. And, again, thank you, Hasbro, everybody worked on this episode. Thank you all so much. And thank you to the people and voice actor. Thank you to the artists thank you to the writer for creating Autumn Blaze and the voice actress for voicing her. Wonderful job. Thank you all. And thank you again, Hasbro. Everybody worked on this episode, and thank you all. And again, thank you guys again for joining me as well. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.